Judy on one side, and he was gonna run a bang route. And I was sitting. So he knew though. He knew also. So he was reading too high. Like I'm thinking, man, I'm on my P's and Q's, but he was on his P's and Q's.
Doesn't know what he's looking at in coverages. Doesn't know what he's looking at on the field. He still doesn't know what he's looking at.
I'm in a red rose, white silk.
Jason Lloyd is having a very, very bad week as NFL Hall of Famer Jalen Ramsey, Super Bowl champion, Florida State legend, praises Shedeur Sanders' ability to read defenses in a different way. And I'm going to show you on film, kind of what he's breaking down as well. So let's go ahead.
A formation that they last year in the Browns, they came out in a lot with. It was Judy on one side.
They say he's nothing more than a product of his father's fame, a system quarterback who folds the moment a real NFL defense disguises a coverage. For months, the narrative surrounding Shedeur Sanders has been dominated by one specific word: fraud. Critics claim he doesn't know what he's looking at on the field, and certain media members have gone as far as to say his football IQ is non-existent. But while the talking heads on TV are busy trashing his name, some of the greatest defensive minds to ever play the game are starting to tell a very different story. A story that suggests we might be watching one of the most cerebral quarterbacks to enter the draft in a decade. The divide between the public perception and the professional reality reached a breaking point this week when NFL Hall of Famer Jalen Ramsey decided to break his silence. Ramsey, a Super Bowl champion and a man known for unaliving the careers of young quarterbacks, revealed something that should make every Shedeur hater very uncomfortable. He took us inside a specific play against the Browns, a moment that most analysts pointed to as a failure, and explained why it actually proved Shedeur is a genius. Ramsey wasn't just playing defense that day, he was playing a psychological game, and for the first time in a long time, he met someone who was playing back. Imagine you're Jalen Ramsey. You're sitting at safety, watching the formation, and you see Judy lined up on one side. You know exactly what's coming: a bang route. Ramsey told his corner to play heavy on the outside, baiting the quarterback to throw inside where Ramsey was waiting to kill the play. He didn't move. He didn't give away his position. He stayed flat-footed, ready to pounce the second the ball left the quarterback's hand. It was the perfect trap, the kind that usually results in a pick six and a seat on the bench for a young passer. But as the play developed, something strange happened. Shedeur didn't take the bait. Most quarterbacks in that position see the too-high safety look and assume the middle of the field is open for the post. That's what the defense wants you to think. But Ramsey noticed that Shedeur was on his P's and Q's. He wasn't just looking at the primary receiver, he was reading the lack of movement from the safeties. Shedeur realized that if the defense wasn't rotating, they were hiding something. Instead of throwing the interception Ramsey was begging for, Shedeur held the ball. He realized the disguise was a fake. But even when you see the trap coming, you still have to deal with the chaos happening right in front of you. And that's where the story takes it.
Now, I'm not sure. He says just a bang. I know a bang 8 is a skinny post. This to me doesn't look like a skinny post. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. This almost looks like he's running a dig. I'm not sure if he changed the route or what happened here. But so this is what's happening. Shedeur sees too high and or possibly some sort of, like I said, cover 4. We talked about it's quarters, by the way. I might have messed it up. But he's seeing a variant of cover 2 or too high something, right? When you have a too high safety and you have nobody in there, that means you have an open field coverage, which means
dark turn that the critics conveniently forget to mention. The play in question was a max protect scheme. For those who aren't in the film room, that means the offense kept almost everyone back to block, leaving only 2 receivers to run routes. In a max protect setup, the quarterback should have all day to throw. Instead, the offensive line collapsed in spectacular fashion. 2-on-1 blocks were being lost, and defenders were bearing down on Shedeur before he could even finish his drop. He was trapped between a Hall of Fame safety waiting for a mistake and a line that couldn't hold a block for 3 seconds. As the pressure mounted, Shedeur rolled away from the heat, desperately looking for an exit. He was actually seen on film gesturing to his teammates, begging them to go so he could have a check down option. He knew the deep routes were covered by Ramsey's clever positioning. He knew the post was being taken away by a corner who was told to cheat deep. In that split second, he had to make a choice: take the sack or try to make a miracle happen. He chose the latter, throwing a crossbody pass that eventually ended in an interception. To the casual viewer, it looked like a bad read. To Jalen Ramsey, it was proof that Shedeur knew exactly what was happening, he just had nowhere to go. This brings us to the massive controversy surrounding guys like Jason Lloyd and other media pundits who insist Shedeur is lost on the field. Why is there such a massive gap between what a Hall of Famer sees and what a journalist sees? Some say it's the Sanders tax. Because Deion is so polarizing, his son is forced to carry the weight of that resentment. Every mistake is magnified, and every success is dismissed as hype. There are even whispers in the league that some organizations are intentionally leaking negative reports about Shedeur's attitude or readability just to tank his draft value so they can snag him later in the first round. The rumors don't stop at the draft board. The talk of his $17 million valuation has made him a massive target for everyone from opposing fans to defensive coordinators. When you're carrying that kind of price tag, you aren't allowed to have a learning curve. You're expected to be a finished product. But even with the target on
something hard, right? So it maybe he's saying it's a different type of skinny post, but a bang 8, like that's the only bang route I know, is typically a skinny post. It looks like Judy, to be honest, ran more of an over route. It looks like he or even like a rounded, like a dig with like a rounded situation where he just kind of carried over, right? So, you know, maybe not traditional XYZ. Regardless, he did run a breaking route that's coming this way. Then you had another post here going across this way. Right now,
back, Shedeur is reportedly spending his off seasons in a way that would shock his critics. He isn't just at parties or photo shoots, he's at elite retreats, obsessing over half slides and protection adjustments. He's been seen working with veteran coaches, arguing over the tiniest details of defensive rotations that most college QBs wouldn't even notice. This level of obsession is what the future Hall of Fame
Jalen Ramsey set up. Instead of taking the bait of, oh, this is cover 3 or this is too high, everybody, he noticed, oh no, this is too high, right? And this safety is treating this kind of like, because he kind of stuck right here, and then now he's going to carry him, right? But what he sees is two things. Jalen Ramsey, the backside safety, just fell. the backside safety just fell. Right. If I want to get this to what's it called? Judy, I'm gonna have to put this over a pretty athletic linebacker. Now, Shedeur can do that, but this is
rumors are picking up on. They see a kid who was being set up to fail by a porous offensive line and a loudmouth media, yet he's still making NFL-level reads. Ramsey pointed out that Shedeur was waiting for a rotation that never happened, which shows he was thinking 3 steps ahead of the play. He wasn't just reacting, he was anticipating. When an NFL veteran says he knew what he was looking at, it carries a weight that no Twitter analyst can match. But the question remains, why is the world so desperate to believe he's failing? Maybe it's because the truth is more frightening than the narrative. If Shedeur Sanders actually is the elite IQ quarterback that Ramsey claims he is, it means the Sanders experiment in Colorado isn't just a circus, it's a factory for pro-ready talent. It means the flashy jewelry and the 17 million comments are just a distraction from a kid who is quietly becoming a nightmare for defensive coordinators. The footage of him at recent camps shows him commanding the huddle with a level of authority that rivals 10-year veterans. He's calling out protections, adjusting the slide, and identifying the Mike linebacker before the defense even gets set. But even with all the praise from the pros, the accusations of him being a stat padder or too cautious continue to surface. Some argue that his high completion percentage is just a result of him being afraid to take risks. Yet, as we saw in the Ramsey breakdown, when he does take a risk under pressure, he gets crucified for it. It's a D_net if you do, D_net if you don't situation. If he throws it away, he's scared. If he tries to make a play, he's a fraud who can't read a defense. The goalposts are constantly moving, and it seems like the only way he can win is by being perfect, which, as any football fan knows, is impossible. As we move closer to the next chapter of his career, the stakes are only getting higher. The rumors of him being a diva in the locker room have been debunked by his teammates time and time again, yet they persist. Why? Because a quiet, hard-working, genius-level quarterback doesn't sell as many headlines as a spoiled brat does. The media needs a villain, and they've cast Shedeur in that role without ever looking at the film. They ignore the fact that he was the most sacked quarterback in the country and still managed to put up elite numbers. They ignore the fact that the pros, the men who actually have to tackle him, are the ones defending his honor. In the end, you have to decide who you want to believe. Do you believe the pundits who get paid for clicks and controversy, or do you believe the future Hall of Famers who have spent their lives studying the game? Jalen Ramsey didn't have to praise Shedeur. He could have easily laughed at the interception and moved on. Instead, he went out of his way to explain how Shedeur almost beat him at his own game. He revealed that the interception was actually a moment of high-level chess that just happened to end in a stalemate. The story of Shedeur Sanders is far from over, and the shocking truth might just be that he's exactly who he says he is. While the world waits for him to fail, he's in the lab, perfecting the very things they say he can't do. We're watching a player who has been under the most intense microscope in sports history, and yet, he hasn't cracked. If anything, the pressure seems to be turning him into something much more dangerous than a famous son. It's turning him into a pro. So, the next time you see a clip of a bad throw or hear a commentator questioning his IQ, remember the Jalen Ramsey tape. Remember that the guys on the field see something you don't. They see the eyes, the adjustments, and the poise that can't be taught. Whether he becomes an NFL legend or a cautionary tale of hype is yet to be seen, but one thing is certain, if you think he doesn't know what he's looking at, you might be the one who's lost. But what if the media isn't just wrong? What if they're actually terrified of what happens when he finally gets a line that can protect him? That's a story the NFL isn't ready for.